Big shout out here this morning at the beginning of this video to every man and woman out there who works hard. I'm going to share the first story with you this morning from a gentleman who goes by Big Mike up in upstate New York. Big Mike is a logger. He sells firewood. He does tree removal for folks who have had trees fall down, stump removal. Let me tell you, that is hard work. And despite these terrible winter conditions, as you can see displayed in this background behind me, which, FYI, you vertically challenged individuals who live under a bridge, is not a green screen. This is my property. And I can really appreciate somebody like Big Mike because I know a little bit about logging and firewood preparation and whatnot. So with that said, let's get right to it. Tell you, it's too easy in weather like this to call in sick and sit inside by the fire, sit inside where it's warm. But for the men and women who get out there in these conditions, mail carriers, delivery folks who don't have nefarious intentions, thank you, okay? All of you, the military, first responders, everybody. From Big Mike, please keep my name out of what I'm going to tell you. You can call me Big Mike. I live in upstate New York. My occupation is making firewood, logging, and tree removal, like I just told you. We're in a 200-acre parcel on top of a mountain. This fog everyone is talking about is real. When we're working in the valleys, the fog is thick and it smells terrible. We hear sounds like cargo planes with props, not turbines, and we hear helicopters. The Northeast used to be sunny, but for the last 2 years, it's been overcast and foggy. My partner and I experienced feeling ill and not knowing why. A couple of weeks ago, we decided to work on top of the mountain and we watched numerous jets spraying whatever they were spraying into the sky. The chemtrails crossed back and forth. Whose government is doing this is what we were thinking. I personally think we're under attack. Kevin, I'm a new subscriber as of a couple of weeks ago. We, the people who love this land, are catching on more and more. The drones, I think, are from China personally. One more thing. I lived in Nebraska for 14 years before I came back to my hometown in New York in 2019. In Nebraska, we had over 100 drones flying over Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Kansas, and Colorado. Everyone was calling the state police. Farmers started shooting them down, and all of a sudden, the state police had no more say, no more authority, as it were, over this issue, because the issue was taken over by the federal government. Odd, and this is me just thinking out loud. This isn't what Mike wrote, but funny how they want nothing to do with it until we, the people, take matters into our own hands, and all of a sudden they want to get involved. But hey, it is government. They are reactive, not proactive. You had to have just been born yesterday to not know that by now. Continuing with what Mike wrote. 2 weeks later, after seeing all these drones all over that entire mid-section of the country, the little C hit our area. Now, most of you folks know what I mean by the little C by now. It's a word that if you were to, or it's a reference to a word that if you say, depending upon the mood social media is in, it will either get you canceled or it won't. So I choose to play it safe so I can continue to come out here and bring these stories to you, stories from the people, the working men and women who actually leave the comforts of their home and go outside to work, to provide for their families and to provide for us. Okay, all of us. These are the men and the women who make the wheels of our economy truly go round. It's not the bankers. It's not the guys and girls up on Wall Street. It's the men and the women who roll their sleeves up and go outside and work, okay? So 2 weeks after all these drone experiences back then, the little C hits Mike's area. I was an over-the-road truck driver at the time. We've had so many stories coming in from truckers who are out there working and seeing this firsthand. And I had a dedicated run from Wyoming to Kentucky. When the drone sighting started, we were all like, why isn't the media covering this? Was it all because that was part of their plan? I ended up getting the little C while in Kentucky. It almost killed me. It took me 6 months to recover. I lost my business because at age 40, I got pigmentary glaucoma. I lost everything. Now I do logging. I think it's all part of the New World Order. Thank you for what you do. I love your channel. God bless you and your family. Our reckoning day is near. Mike, I hope not, but there are a lot of folks who would agree with you on that final statement. But I truly believe that what makes this country great is its people, and I truly believe that as we've done in the past, we will bind together, we will stop our differences, we will stop arguing over petty issues, and we will come together and we will save our union. Now, this next one, I'm leaving anonymous, and I want to tell you why. This person has sent me this message a couple of times over. I'm finally reading it. Listen, if you've got a story that you want me to share, you can email it to me at crazylake@mail.com. But going forward, you need to explicitly give me your permission to share your story. And if you don't, I am going to keep you anonymous because we have been getting... We're being gang attacked by trolls, bots, and followers of scab channels who think it's perfectly okay to steal other people's copywritten material without permission, which it's not. So we've stood up to these criminals. We are not a sanctuary channel, and we do not allow people to steal from us. We consider the law, and it should be fair for all. No special privileges for anyone. So with that said, send me your story, and no, you don't need to email me and say, is this your right email? If it wasn't, I wouldn't tell you it was. If you want your story told, send it to us, give us your permission. Okay, now with that said, I'm moving on to the next one. This writer begins, I just wanted to tell somebody that might believe me before I die. So that's how important it is for guys and the girls out there doing what I do to come out here and get these stories out. This individual had an amazing experience, and they want to make sure they get it out there before they pass on. That's why we will not cower down to trolls, bots, or people who are loyal to scab channels. We will continue, we being me and my editors and those who support me, coming out here and bringing you the truth, like this individual's truth. Dear sir, I recently came across your channel as I also watch Skinwalker Ranch. I was born and raised in the Uinta Basin where a lot of paranormal things have occurred, one of which happened to me approximately 1978 when I was 13 or so years old while sleeping on the lawn of our family farm, which was a summer tradition for us. It's a summer tradition for us here too in our part of Virginia, FYI. I was awakened by a cold feeling and was laying flat on a metal operation table with an invisible force holding me down so I could only move my eyes, and I could hear a clickety-clack. Suddenly, I saw two creatures with 3 long fingers on each hand talking. They were wearing long dark robes, but I couldn't make out their faces as the hoods they wore covered them. Suddenly, I could understand what they were saying. I don't know how, maybe some kind of universal translator. And the one spoke to the other and said, not this one. He is written in the book of life. And instantly the force field was released and I was allowed to roam around freely in this round and dome-shaped room while they were at their stations, which looked like fancy benches with big black screens, like smartphones now, and they were touching the panels with their 3 long fingers. So it sounds like technology that we've had access to for the last decade, but again, this would have been 1978, 35 years before smartphones even came out. A lot of folks are under the belief system that much of our modern technology has been reverse engineered from technology that we've discovered from others. Continuing with the story. Going around the room were these canister-looking holes about the size of a 5-gallon bucket in diameter with no bottoms, only air blowing clockwise in one and counterclockwise in the next, so on and so on, around the room intermittently. I walked up and put my arm down onto one of these holes, which was blowing cold air, and I could see yellow and white lights down inside it or through it. Suddenly, one of them grabbed me by the arm, pulling it up, and said, "No, that's our propulsion system, electromagnetic gyroscopes." Then I woke up on the lawn with the birds chirping above me and the sun coming up. Okay, yada yada, yank yank to all the laughing sticks out there. Explain this to me. This was in 1978. when Captain Kirk was the commander in Star Trek in those days, and my cousin has all the episodes in books, and there were no episodes with creatures like these until an episode appeared on Star Trek The Next Generation in the 90s with the same exact beings. Explain that one to me, would you please? And again, just as our tech companies, our science people have, a lot of folks believe have been reverse engineering technology, why not in the entertainment industry have creators and writers and directors and producers could not have, they very much possibly could have been getting their new ideas upon reverse engineering discoveries that most folks just aren't privy to. It absolutely sounds believable. Now, I'm going to talk about a certain issue because it's coming up a lot. I'm receiving dozens and dozens of emails daily out of the hundreds of emails I am receiving daily. And again, folks, the stories that aren't making the channel simply because there's not enough time are being compiled in the True Haunting series, and as of yesterday, volume 7 is now available on Amazon in both print and Kindle. The links for those are in the description box below. Hundreds of stories coming in daily. It's the only way I can conceive to get them out. These stories are getting out, so go check those out. They're wonderful. But something that is a common theme here, I'm receiving emails about a particular bacteria that's been discovered. I guess one of the first tests where this was discovered was down in Florida. Now, this is not new. This has been going on for a few weeks, and actually they knew of this bacteria allegedly being in this fog before I lost my quails, okay? So again, another reason to, if you want to spend your time going around confirming the known, well, God bless you. You have more time on your hands than I do. I don't need to do 8 or 10 different calculations to determine that 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4, and I don't need to use this new math, for example, they're using to destroy the thinking ability of the minds of our youth in this nation in the public schools, of which we pulled our son out of 2 years ago because of the shenanigans that's going on there. Listen, I don't have time for that. I knew the facts already. And a lot of folks are now becoming privy to the fact, and they're wanting me to come out here and talk about it. Here's what I'm going to tell you about it. Number one, I'm not going to state the name of this bacteria, and it's nothing new. It's not a new discovery. The way in which it may potentially be being used, however, probably is. Now, I've been doing this a long time, 15 years, successfully and honestly, not by stealing material from other people, but by getting out there doing the research myself. And I know what that leads to. It leads to a lot of ridicule. Listen, I did the Bigfoot Sasquatch stuff for a while, and FYI, I'm still doing that for our members only group because I'm just sick and tired of the ridicule. Back in 2019, I literally captured him, her, it, or they definitively on video on this channel in a video called "He Discovers the Lair of Bigfoot Sasquatch and It's Made Loud and Clear He Is Not Welcome." Caught it on video. What happened? Well, of course, I get land blasted, just like what happens. Oh, everybody that claims to believe in it believes that, oh, yeah, they're out there, but you didn't see it. Oh, yeah, I saw it, and I've got one living in the woods behind my house, but you didn't see it, and there's not one living in the woods behind your house. So whatever. I'm just done with putting up with that kind of hootenanny. But back to the bacteria, and listen, I know how things work. Here in about 1 week, as of the recording of this video, we're going to have a new sheriff in town. That sheriff's name will be President Donald J. Trump. Get ready for censorship on the social media platforms to get jacked up to a new level. Why? Because they can't beat him, but they've learned they can cheat him. So what's going to happen is that those who come out and continue to speak truths, those who come out and continue to lift the curtain away from the deceptions they are hiding, they're going to be censored. They're going to be silenced. And just for the very reason that I use the term little c for what we all know that means, I'm refusing to state the name of this bacteria. I'm going to call it here. I'm going to call it first. You watch. certain social media platforms, if not all of them, are soon going to be considered they're going to be considering any speech in regard to that bacteria whatsoever as misinformation. They're going to flag videos. They're going to unmonetize content. They're going to delete content, and eventually they will delete channels and pages who speak of that issue. And they'll say it's all based on misinformation. Folks, it's what they're going to do. It's what they do to hide the truth. And once a new sheriff is sworn in, they're gonna just go bat crap crazy over the next 4 years trying to keep stuff like this suppressed. So, number one, that's why I'm not saying the word. Number two, I'm not really coming out here and talking about it much because I already know the facts. Okay, and yeah, that's 90+% the way I'm leaning as to the demise of my birds. Okay? Now, number three, I want to clear something up with you specifically. And it's going to tick a lot of you off because I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Listen, I can't come out here and only give you the facts that I prefer, okay, and then claim to be somebody who's a truth seeker. I've got to give you all the facts, even the ones you might not like. So I received a couple of emails overnight where folks were trying to tell me that creepy Uncle Joe Biden on his way out of office is banning nicotine because it's been found to kill certain parasites, and those parasites are believed to be in this bacteria, and so he's banning nicotine so we can't protect ourselves from this new terrible evil from the New World Order by smoking our cigarettes or chewing our tobacco. And by the way, it's our God-given First Amendment right to give ourselves cancer with those products anyway. They're taking away our freedoms. No. Let me tell you the reasoning behind what creepy Uncle Joe is doing on his days out of office in regard to nicotine. Number one, and again, I am no fan, or I probably wouldn't call him creepy Uncle Joe, despite how much hair he sniffs. Even if I liked him, I probably would still call him creepy. But anyway, listen. He's a politician. He's a lifelong politician. He's a member of the swamp, okay? What do these people do? Well, they say whatever needs to be said to get them elected, right? I'll pick that one up later. My paper's starting to blow away. Let me tell you about creepy Uncle Joe and this nicotine crusade he's on. It's not new. As a matter of fact, he promised a group, I forget their name, I should have Googled it and found this out, but you can Google everything I'm telling you, it's truth. Okay, he's a liberal Democrat, and so of course he champions particular groups of Americans more so over just Americans as a whole. It's all that divide and conquer. Oh, now you group over here, you need to understand that the majority over here hates you because you don't look like them, right? We know how the game is played. So with that said, he was championing for the cause of black Americans in such that black Americans disproportionately per capita, more of them smoke than do white Americans. So, in particularly, they disproportionately prefer smoking menthol cigarettes. If you look at Newports, which is a menthol cigarette, if you look at Marlboro Light menthols, which clearly is a menthol cigarette, the percentage of black smokers that smoke those is way higher than the percentage of white smokers that smoke that. So several years back, creepy Uncle Joe decides he's got this idea to where he can make the black folks who smoke cigarettes make it sound like he's really looking out for them more so than he is that mean old majority. So he decides he's going to ban menthol cigarettes. And he almost did a couple of years ago. And of course, it was under the guise of, championing for minorities. And this is actually true. Had he done that, he would have saved the lives of approximately between 400,000 and 600,000 black Americans who smoke menthols over the next 20 years. Yeah, because the science was there. This was all backed upon scientific research that showed that the majority of folks who prefer menthol cigarettes, if they were not able to have access to menthol cigarettes, they would more than likely quit smoking entirely because they wouldn't like non-menthol cigarettes. Okay, so that was the plan. And this group, this organization, which was a Black American-based organization who was trying to raise awareness to how black smokers were disproportionately, or black people disproportionately smoked more than non-black people, particularly Caucasian Americans. This was killing them in mass. So Uncle Joe says, okay, creepy Uncle Joe says, I'll take up this cause. Well, going into the last election, now this is before the Democratic Party realized they needed to get him. They should have gotten him out of there sooner if they wanted to have any chance of winning. Before, strangely, they put Kamala in there in his place, who finished last in the primaries in the previous Democratic primary. But they said, hey, we're going to force you to vote for this candidate, even though she was the last one you would have chosen the last time. I don't know where these people get their ideas. I don't know who their campaign managers are. Anyway, it's like they might possess a crap ton of PhDs and EDs and all these other letters behind their names, but clearly they possess no common sense or simple understanding of how people think. At least not people like Big Mike, who go out there and roll their sleeves up and work. Maybe the intellectual elitists who don't work because they're above manual labor and they sit around with their nose glued to a legacy media channel all day thinking they know something, even though they're too afraid to go outside because of the elements, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, just before the election got hot, before they removed creepy Uncle Joe because he clearly was not fit to be in the White House for one thing, but to try to get in there again for another 4 years, Black Americans rose up and said, if you ban our menthol cigarettes, there is no way in hell we're going to vote for you, creepy Uncle Joe, even though you are a Democrat. Whoa, creepy Uncle Joe and his people that run in his campaign were like, wait a minute. Shoot, we better not ban menthol cigarettes now. We better not start cutting down on nicotine intake now. This is going to cost us the election. Google all this. This is all true. That group that championed that cause then went to him and said, creepy Uncle Joe, you were going to save between 600,000 Black Americans' lives over the next 20 years by banning menthols, and now you're telling us you're not? You said you cared about us. You promised us. Why? Well, the answer was simple. He's a career, lifelong politician. He says, well, if I come out and save all those lives, I won't get reelected. How many times do you have to see it, folks? And FYI, I am not a Republican. I am a conservative libertarian. The left wing and the right wing are two wings that belong to the same bird. They're both nuts. So I live my life the way I want to live it. I let you live your life the way you want to live it. You're not harming me. Kudos to you. If I'm not harming you, leave me the hell alone. I err to the side of conservatism because I do believe in traditional family values. My family and I do practice them. And yeah, I'm a combat war veteran. So freedom to me and others who've served has a particular flavor that the protected will never know. So yeah, I lean a little right, but not for a minute would I claim to be a Republican, because I'm not. I'm just telling you the facts. You might not like to hear them, but that's the facts. So the existence of this bacteria and the way it is potentially being spread, I'm not denying that. I'm just not saying the word because, mark my word, soon when the new sheriff takes over, social media is going to claim that to be disinformation, and the people that are out there trying to spread the truth are going to be disappeared. Okay, but number two, if you're going to claim to be spitting facts, make sure you're spitting facts. Creepy Uncle Joe isn't trying to ban nicotine at all. He's trying to lower the levels in all cigarette and all tobacco products, for one thing. But it has nothing to do with that fact that it does kill certain parasites. And scientifically, it's not been found to kill the certain parasites in that particular bacteria you're talking about. Just the facts, Jack. So you just got to have them straight. It's that now that he's on his way out of office, he's trying to come back and save a little bit of face and potentially try to save the lives of between 400,000 and 600,000 folks that he promised he would save in the past, that he just kind of reneged on because it certainly was not going to allow him to get reelected, which never happened anyway. So folks, there's some awesome stories. Continue to send them in. Again, you got to give us your permission to use them. We are under attack from trolls, bots, and scab account loyalists. And if you don't specifically say I can use your name, I'm just going to refer to you as anonymous. So if you want to make sure, your name's getting out there along with your really awesome stories, you got to let me know that I can do that. Oh, and FYI, if you've sent a story and then a couple weeks later you decide to renege on it, that ain't how it works. With an S. That ain't how it works. Get over yourself. Cowboy up. Okay? If people are being mean to you in the comment section, just cowboy up. America needs the cowboy up. We're getting ready to go through some rocky times. Buckle up, baby. It's going to be a rough ride. See you for more next time.